So in my PowerPoint, I'm going to be discussing the use of chemical weapons in modern times and in recent history. Chemical weapons are of importance to everyone because, they can be used in a number of different ways, and they can be very, very deadly if used on a population of people. We saw this with anthrax after 9/11, and we also saw it with Syria just recently in 2012, and actually there was just another attack in 2017 this year that resulted in even more dead. The chemical weapon used in Syria is sarin gas. So we know that the use of chemical weapons, even though outlawed in international law, is still not uncommon. The use of chemical weapons is still a not so uncommon occurrence, sadly, despite being outlawed in the Geneva Convention. Chemical weapons such as sarin gas and anthrax are used in numerous different ways to harm others. Violence, like terrorism, used in wars to suppress rebel groups or to fight against the governments. It's illegal and still being used, sadly. There are numerous different ways that chemical weapons can be used and are implemented. There's bacteria that can be used, there's viruses, there's fungi that can be released into the air, there's even just chemicals and solutions that can be concocted in many different ways, and different mixtures that can cause a variety of effects, almost all of which are harmful and can be excruciatingly painful. Sarin gas, which is the one that was used in Syria, causes seizures and vomiting, and ultimately respiratory failure and death as a result of that. The current state of knowledge about chemical weapons is that there is a multitude of ways that they can be used, a multitude of ways that they can be fired, shot through canisters, used on civilians in water supplies as a way of attrition, but all of which are used to harm people. So they were outlawed, and usually research hasn't been continued for quite some time to advance chemical weaponry, especially in developed countries such as the United States and such. But regardless, there's still the old ones, which are just as deadly as any new ones we could come up with. So the current state of knowledge is that there's the old weaponry which was used and the old chemical solutions that were used before the Geneva Convention, and not really too many new developments, but still extremely deadly and dangerous. So a big one we saw used in history was mustard gas in World War I and even in World War II. World War I, mustard gas was used in trench warfare to gas out trenches and gain land, so you could advance your troops forward. Mustard gas has similar effects to sarin gas in that it affects the respiratory system primarily. It can cause stinging in the eyes, the nose, and ultimately can lead to seizure of the respiratory system and death. Even after the Geneva Convention was held, in World War II, the Japanese used mustard gas on Taiwanese natives to end a resistance of occupation. So we see a pattern of chemical weaponry being used even despite outlawed and consequences. So this is a pattern that I don't think is going to cease, and is of great importance that the public should keep an eye on chemical weapon attacks. If we do see a continuation of increasing numbers of chemical attacks, then it could become a issue that could affect every single one of us.